All right, so moving on to the professionals, NFL. Listen, so Tom Brady got a lot of titles. The GOAT, TV 12. You know, but we got to add another one. He's a defensive activist now. Today he appeared on the Bucks team website. Him and some of the other players, and they was just going over some topics, shooting some things that how they thinking about today's NFL. And then Tom Brady just hit everybody with the doozy. And basically he said, I feel like they penalize defensive players for offensive mistakes. Now, when you first hear that, you like, what in the boop is Tom Brady talking about? But he did give a more elaborate explanation. So, like he said, if a quarterback misses a blitz assignment, or if the offensive line misses their assignments and the ball comes out, what does the defensive player supposed to do? Just let the player run past him? He don't supposed to drop the lead, drop the wood, as I think he said. So, with that said, with those brief overviews, with that said, Jay, I know this surprised you that Tom Brady said it, but my question is, was he right or wrong?
No, I think he was absolutely right. This has kind of been my sentiment for many, many years. I mean, if you go back, probably I would say um, within the past 2 decades of professional football, drink, I can only think of one rule change that has benefited defenses, and you feel free to let me know other ones if you have them. But the only rule I can think of that benefited defenses is, you will recall, I'm sure they used to have a term for they used to have a term called force out, where
Okay.
if a defensive player pushed a receiver out of bounds, and he landed out of bounds, the referee could like say, "Oh, you forced him out. So if you didn't force him out, he would have got both feet in. That's a catch." They used to have that. They used to have force outs. They did away with that, so now it's not a thing anymore, which obviously helps defenders.
I would say another one that just came to my mind is maybe the crackback block. They don't allow
Okay.
that on defenders
Yep.
no more.
Right.
So I
Okay.
just throw that
Okay.
out there.
True. True. That's a good one. That's a good one as well. Also, big deal on special teams as well. But I think, but by and large, you know what I'm saying. Like
Right, right. I got you.
most of the rule changes have definitely benefited offenses. Some of that, I mean, some of that player safety, I guess, but some of it is just the fact of the matter is, um, the NFL and in most leagues, NFL is not specific to this, but most leagues want to see more scoring. They think fans want to see more scoring, and we certainly have gotten that. So I would say, I think, guys that actually, pay attention and watch this game a little bit more, than the casual fan understand this. It's refreshing to hear this from, the GOAT, as we call him, with the 7 rings and all the accolades and all the rest. It's refreshing to hear someone like that say this and, tell it like it is, because I think this is something that we can all see, because whether you're looking at, I think Tom Brady's comments, to what I understand, is primarily talking about how this affects receivers, and now how defensive backs and linebackers over the middle have to be careful how they hit players, because you got the defensive receiver rule and all that. So, you can't hit them too hard. I mean, in some cases, do you hit them at all? Do you just carry them around and throw them in the end zone and let them score? What do you do? We've seen, safeties sometimes be in the worst positions ever. I mean, the instincts say, and I'm sure, some of these guys, they've been in football for so long. Hey, you playing defense, your job is to stop that guy. Don't care
Right.
how mean, nice, hard, soft, whatever it is. He he don't get past you. And now, some of the rules, it's hard to do now. But also think about not only the defensive player with the receivers, quarterbacks have benefited. They've been the biggest beneficiary, I would say, because it used to be, you didn't have the quote unquote strike zone to where you could hit quarterbacks, and they started up top. They said, oh, you can't hit the quarterback high, you can't hit him, you can't get a blow to the head. And then, so what did defenders start doing? Oh, they start going low. So now you got them going low, and you have a situation where Tom Brady actually tears his ACL back in 2008, courtesy of a blitz and safety, Bernard Pollard. The NFL had actually banned low hits to the quarterback in 2006. The injury happened in 2008. The NFL came out and clarified. They clarified the rule the very next year and said, okay, if you're a defender and you on the ground, unless you got blocked to the ground or you got hit to the ground or whatever, but if you just like I guess if you just trip and fall into the dude, that's on you, and that's going to be a penalty. That rule that got clarified largely because of what happened to Tom Brady, because the NFL values its superstars, and the quarterbacks have more impact on the game than any other position in professional sports. You know, so you get what the NFL is getting at in some aspect, but it's still difficult for defenders, because now you said, oh, you can't hit them now high, now you can't hit them low, so you got the smallest little window to hit these guys. And with that in mind, maybe we shouldn't be all that surprised that we're seeing quarterbacks play longer and longer and longer. Now we got Derek Carr out here talking about, yeah, I think I can play Tom 42 or whatever it is. Like, oh yeah, sure, maybe you can. John Gruden's still gonna be looking at you like you a question mark too, and still wouldn't have he still wouldn't have traded you. So, but I think Tom Brady's 1,000% right with this. I think it's refreshing to hear an offensive player actually be honest about it, and at least verify what we can see with our own eyes. Now, of course, I am gonna say, I doubt Tom. It's real easy for Tom Brady to say it, in his twilight years when he has reaped the benefits of all these rule changes. So if I don't know if they asked him, hey, well, would you do away with some of these rules and make it a bit harder on yourself? I don't know if he'd do all that, but I do give him credit for, shall I say, speaking the truth.
Yeah, for me, man, I think the biggest and obvious thing is this. It's the person that's sending the message. It's Tom Brady, man. It's the GOAT. Listen, it wasn't like we had, Kyler Murray out here saying this. You know what I'm saying? Like, this a guy with, or Derek Carr. Yeah, I don't know what Derek Carr talking about. You won't be in the league long enough. But, it's to have, the GOAT, the guy with the resume that he has. Listen, I got it. It is a little bit of, oh, now you feel that way, huh? Oh, okay. We hear you, Tom. It's funny you feel that way now, but that's how it is. Like, if you actually think about it, a lot of these older like Hall of Famers, they always complain about what's happening now because their time is gone. But the argument has always been made, if you played now, would you really feel that way? Or you just feel that way because of the era you played in? Well, it's no different. What Tom Brady did was no different. Was it a little bit of smoke and mirrors? Like, come on, Tom. But he's not wrong. We've been saying this for years. Like, man, you was talking about this before the show. I honestly think the hardest position to play in the NFL is cornerback. Because you literally, what rules do you get to help you outside of offensive pass interference? And good luck getting that one. Right. Like, you're on an island by yourself. More than not, that the skill position, whether it's a tight end or wide receiver, it's the professional league. So you got to believe they're gonna be some alphas there, and they get to do whatever they want to you. And the minute you touch them, it's a flag, and you're out there by yourself. Half of the cornerbacks you never see in the huddle ever, because they just walk from the sideline, go to their position, and they're there until the play get ran. Right. So I'm a big component of believing like what Tom is saying. Like, it's unfortunate for me to tell a safety, hey, I need you not only to lay the wood, but I need you to stop, think, see where the ball at, make sure you know where your head is at, look up. If the ball is on the left, go for the elbow. If the ball is on the right, go for the shoulder. Don't hit them in this zone. You know what I'm saying? Don't hit them in this zone. We're going to try to avoid this. Please don't hit them in the head. Like, it's just a lot. Like, at the end of the day, the safety is like, how, do I even supposed to tackle him? Like, I don't. What if I just try to?
Yeah, I think the defensive backs in general, but I think the safeties have paid the biggest price, because now you're saying, at least from the cornerback's perspective, their job hasn't changed at all. Like, it's definitely harder for them to get things done against wide receivers. But safeties, especially guys like, think about like a Troy Polamalu or even a Cam Chancellor from a few years ago. You know,
Ed Reed.
part of those guys is like game is the fear they can instill in you. You know, when you come over the middle, you're gonna pay a price.
Right.
Today's NFL, it's a lot harder to do that because you got to be so much more precise. And now because of those rules, wide receivers, I would venture to say, are, you know, probably a little bit more brave going in there because they know, you know, anytime they get hit, they could get 15 more yards.
Right. So no, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. So I think what I'm hoping is right that okay, the NFL heard this and they actually do go back to the drawing table and say, how can we make this a little more fair? Because like Tom Brady is right. If the quarterback not doing their job and they miss an assignment and then the offensive line miss an assignment and they just decide to throw the ball in the middle, like how is that fair to the defensive player for doing their job? Like, so the defensive player doing his job, he get penalized. The offensive player don't do their job and they get rewarded. So that's kind of the message that you're sending. So I do appreciate Tom Brady for bringing that up. And listen, like I said, I hope they change the rules. But at the end of the day, man, you know, I mean, the game is the game. And like you said, it's been very minuscule rules to benefit the defense. And I just don't see that happening because like you said, offenses put butts in the seats, defenses win championships. But you gotta have people that want to see you. Because, you know, I haven't seen too many Super Bowl winning teams have an empty stadium. You know what I mean? So with that said, like it's a give or take thing, but it's a business. And the NFL and, you know, college football and everybody, they're into making money. And the offense helped them make money.